Let's talk about how an amazing piece of software called Salesforce can revolutionize how easy it could be to run a business. The power of Salesforce comes from how easy it makes it to abstract all of the individual elements involved in your business. By doing this, you create a model of your business, and Salesforce makes it possible to have granular control over all of the moving pieces with the various tools they provide. This makes it so that you can effortlessly handle high volume tasks and allow you and your team members to never miss a beat by automatically updating team members on important information. So Salesforce gives us the ability to create an abstract model for our business. But let's talk a bit about what abstraction even means. You could look at all kinds of different instances of tables, the one in your kitchen, your desk, the little coffee table next to your couch, and abstract away from all of them the concept of a table. All of them are things you sit next to and put stuff on, whether it be your dinner, your laptop, or your coffee. In the context of a real estate firm, you could have a number of various individual properties, and then there's the abstract concept of property that those particular entities fall under. Similarly, customer is an abstraction. There are individual instances of customer, like Joe, Bobby, Jen, but what ties them all together in the context of your business is that they are all paying you to use your product. In Salesforce, each of these abstract entities is called an object. Now, there are certain characteristics people have, like name and phone number, for example. The individual's name and phone number might be different from person to person, but they all have a name and a phone number. Name and phone number are abstracted characteristics of a customer. And in Salesforce, we call those fields. The ability to work with objects in their fields generally results in some really powerful capabilities. It turns send an individual email to every individual customer, which is exhausting just to think about, to send an individualized email to my customers, which can be done in one fell swoop. Before we get to that, let's first explore how to create an object and assign it fields. We'll make an object for property because it's pretty straightforward. We'd start by clicking the gear on the top right and enter Setup. Then we'll enter the Object Manager by clicking on the Object Manager tab. I like to think of this as my abstract toolbox, where I work with all of the metadata relevant to my business. I'll click Create in the top right and then click Custom Object. I'll type Property in the Label field and then Properties in the Plural Label field. We can see the first field for our object is automatically generated in the Record Name field. Let's enable the optional features, allow it to be searchable, and enable notes. I recommend also checking the Tab Wizard option and then hitting Save so that we can create a Properties tab. Select our object, which is Property, and select the tab style, like Building or whatever you want, and then hit Next. By default, it'll show this tab to everyone in your organization, which is fine for now, so let's hit Next and allow every app to have access to the object, and then hit Save. Now, when we go to our Sales app, we can see that the Properties tab is available to us. If we press New in this tab, we can see that we can create a new property. But the only field for us to input is the property name. So let's give it a field that properties have, like address, for example. To do that, we'll go back to our Object Manager by going to Setup and pressing Object Manager, navigate to our object, which is property, select Fields and Relationships for our property object, and select New, which is on the right. We see that we have various options to select for the type of information our field will contain. Since we're going to enter the address, let's select Text and hit Next. For the field name, we'll type address. Set the length to 30 characters, which should be long enough, and hit Next. For now, we'll let everyone in our org have access to this field, so we'll press Next. Then we'll add this field to our properties page layout by simply hitting Save. Let's make one more field for selecting whether our property is residential or commercial. We'll select New, scroll to Pick List, since we want a little drop-down menu, hit Next, enter the field name. Let's go with property type. Select enter values with each value separated by a new line, and then type residential, hit enter, and then type commercial. Then keep hitting next and save it. Repeat this process for other fields you want to add to your object. Now when we go to our Sales app, navigate to our Property tab and select New. We see our new address field and the property type menu. Let's create a new property, call it James Bond's house, enter the address and select residential. From here, we have the ability to do things like create a task that needs to be done by someone on the team, and they'll be alerted to it, and any update they make will be reflected right here on this objects page, and everyone will be able to see it. So we see that Salesforce gives our team the ability to work together to accomplish large objectives by making it easier to keep track of the smaller tasks that need to be completed. Now that we understand and know how to create our own objects and fields for those objects, let's see how we can take advantage of fields to make a task like sending emails much easier. If we go to the Contacts tab, we can see all the contacts we have in our organization. I added a new field for the Contacts object, exactly like we did for the property object we created earlier. It's a menu to select whether the contact is interested in residential or commercial properties. I can order the contact list by property type interest, check the box of the first residential contact, hold Shift, and then click on the last residential contact to select all of the contacts in between two. Then I can press Send List Email. I can see that the contacts I selected are the recipients. Since first name is a field for the contact object, I can leverage that to have each email include the recipient's actual name by pressing Insert Merge Field, searching first name, and then pressing Insert. Then we can type a little message. And send. So we saw that by choosing to email multiple contacts all at once, we could take advantage of each contact's first name field to personalize multiple emails all at once. And that's it. We learned about creating an abstract model for your business with objects and fields, and how we can leverage them to accomplish a task that would have otherwise taken ages.